Mr. Jaramillo's ham sandwiches, too. I knew when I got to Franklin Junior High School, I'd have to choose between wood shop and Spanish. Mr. Jaramillo taught Spanish. At the funeral reception, Mr. Jaramillo brought a big plate of ham sandwiches to the house. I ate 6 of them and found myself standing next to him at the table. He had dark hair, a short beard, and looked like a conquistador from an old book. For a moment, I felt trapped when I learned he was family and could be my teacher. I felt guilty for eating all his sandwiches and for not saying hola. Some of us never learned formal Spanish. We only knew commands like quítate, which meant stop bothering me right now, and cállate, which meant be quiet, my young children. Suddenly, I felt scared about the future too, and that he might call on me in class to say how we met at a funeral. So the idea of his class made me worry, but wood shop didn't seem any better. My brothers and sisters told me to take wood shop because I might need it. They said no one ever made stuff from actual wood. Instead, everyone in the class sharpened and bent kitchen forks and vices, uses homemade brass knuckles for after-school fights. No one wants to go to a funeral, but you should go anyway. Make some of these ham sandwiches. You need to buy a whole ham. The most important part of cooking a ham is the rub. First, you need to get the mix. You got salt, pepper, sugar, cinnamon all together, and then cut through the skin and rub in the mix. You could use a handful of cloves and push their pointy ends into the skin. It'll create good flavor. You should definitely add them. This ham will make a gazillion sandwiches. De La Rosa's good punch. 4. All kinds of people in the neighborhood got their hair cut at De La Rosa's clip joint on Saturdays. You could either wait inside and sit in one of the kitchen chairs and listen to Frankie Beverly and Willie Nelson, or sit outside on a front bench. The shop was around the corner from the church on Florida. It was a hot street with no shade trees anywhere. If you were barefoot, you had to walk on the yellow and white street paint to not burn your feet on the asphalt. They charged everyone the same amount for a cut and only cut one style, the pompadour. It didn't matter if you were 10, 18, or 70 years old, you got the same cut as everyone else, the pomp. The common cut was the military Elvis, not as relaxed as his Hawaiian scenes, but shorter and tidy. Elvis had the best high pomp, and no one could ever deny it. Some guys tried to get the ducktail in the back by brushing from the right and then from the left, but the hair was always too short for it. You had to learn how to brush using like a special hair training technique. One single long combing action from the front hairline around the ear to the nape of the neck. Training was important. You had to work at it. Comb, to get the sides and the top to go back with ease. Nowadays, you just shave off the sides and get right to the pomp with the product. De La Rosa's clip joint didn't take shortcuts either, so it took longer for some guys to train their sides. All around the neighborhood and even in church, you see the fresh cuts. The young guys spent all night in ladies' hair nets, while the old guys could just walk up easy to take communion with their good head of trained hair. Funeral punch. De La Rosa's punch is delicious. It's a kind of punch made from a handful of jamaica, dried hibiscus flowers, and sugar. First, you put the flowers in a pot and cover with boiling water to rinse away the bitter taste. Next, empty the liquid and put a quart of water back into the pot. Steep for 20 minutes to make the tea. Last, make a syrup to sweeten the concentrated tea. Eight, just give them something, anything. When our dad was sick and laid up, a bunch of family friends showed up early one morning before school. They were all singing outside and brought us bags of food. I let them in. There were 8 of us at home and everyone was still in bed. Kathy woke up my mom and told her that everyone was in the kitchen. We didn't have much food in the house, but my mom knew what to do and put on the percolator. She made coffee while Kathy and I worked the toaster. They all had a cup of coffee and a piece of toast, then they left. When they said, "Stella, that was good coffee," we felt good too. Together, a few of us unpacked the groceries and filled up the fridge and the cupboards with food. "13. Kathy and I drank the rest of the punch left over from my dad's funeral. We went to the grass hill and waited for Garen and Dion. The grass hill was a narrow and steep median on Sutter Street near the top of Capitol Hill. I don't think we ever talked about the place as a traffic median. It was what it was, a grass hill in our neighborhood. We took turns drinking right out the top of the heavy jug, just like the guys on the street. It was delicious and a pretty good memory for the day after the funeral. The grass hill was a spot for all the kids in the neighborhood. We shared food there, lit matches, took bites out of each other's candy. We learned to snap bananas in half with our bare hands. The neighborhood had everything else too. Triple X theaters, bus stops, a deli, and a library that showed free movies on Sundays. It had a naval base, sailors, a Zodiac killer, a public pool, and Children's Wonderland. Our house was close to everything. After the funeral, all kinds of kids came over to our house instead of going to the grass hill, and Mom made sure that everyone ate something.